way of living.
Yeah. Instead of trying to concentrate without understanding, what about just one word? Consider more, having more confidence, okay, and read and understand better and better in order to be conditioned for understand directly. Because the self cannot do that. No understanding. It can concentrate, but no understanding. But right understanding will gradually turn on little by little to this moment, because without understanding of this moment, it's useless studying, thinking about reality. So the most valuable moment is understanding. That's all. Just one moment. It develops. It eliminates ignorance and attachment gradually, just by then when it arises. That's all. So we just have implement to develop right understanding, to just understand what is hidden for a long, long time now. No matter we talk about birth, death, or whatever, it's just the arising and falling away of conditioned realities by different names in samsara. No gap, nothing in between, nothing can be done, only right understanding understands. So much different between ignorance and right understanding. See, ignorance cannot understand seeing, even while it sees at moment of seeing. But right understanding begins to know. It's just moment of experiences, a world of sight which will bring more thinking about whatever happened in a day, in one's life. So it's just like the war between avijja and vicca. Mm-hmm.
Between self and not self, atta and anatta.
Because just that which arises and see, very simple. But so much to understand that it's not I or anything at all. Just that reality. And it begins to be freed from, to be mastered by lopa. To do this, to think that, but just now, that characteristic which sees, that which experiences, as it is. To me, I think that when I read Tipitaka, I don't have the idea for wanting to understand better, but to understand what is there taught by the Buddha. And let it be conditioned for other moment. That's all. The only way. Very, very difficult in the beginning.
And after the discussion this morning, Alberto made a comment which I've heard from other ex-meditators, because he followed a practice for a long time, even though he has no interest now, but because of that old habit, then still there is some, I don't know, you can explain it better, some attending to what they think is breath at the nostril or something like that, because of the old pattern or habit. Do you like to?
It's just thinking about the way.
Excuse me, I think that it seems like we try to understand what we used to take for self, but actually habits of not understanding for everyone. Not just for one person who follow the meditation or anything. It's the habits that one has had for long, long time ago, yeah, and it branches in different ways of practices by different accumulation. But understanding can understand it, no matter what. It's only wrong understanding.
Like Anne mentioned yesterday the habit of trying to work out the understanding, or someone will say trying to understand visible object or experience or something, just those habits, however it manifests. Just
never enough to talk about
Paramasa.
because of the habits for everyone. They're exactly the same. But as right understanding sees that it's wrong, it begins to just throw it away. Useless. But that's why it takes quite long, long time to understand what understanding understands. That which appears only. Not trying to do anything.
I think the other part of what I was saying or trying to say was that the habit continues, but there's more understanding of what things that I might not have taken before as being trying to work it out or thinking about it. It becomes clear that there's still little bits, very subtle, there. That
it has to be known, otherwise
yes.
It can never be eradicated. Yes. So one should welcome the fact that
yes.
there is, it arises and understanding
to
can know it.
that it's still there to be said.
If it never arises, like in the animal realm or something, can never be understood. Exactly. So it's
right. So Panya Panya is not afraid of anything at all. Whatever comes. But when it's not yet that level, okay, it's all right, it's gone, it's gone, it's gone. Never to return to be known at all. What about that which now appears? Only that should be known. That's why Panya is cheerful.
It needs to be strong enough to let go of whatever one used to cling to.
I don't think that anyone can do or can let go. Just right understanding, more and more, little by little.
Yes.
It performs its function. Only it can understand better and better, deeper and deeper. Each moment passes like before without understanding, but when there's hearing, considering, it develops little by little. Cheerfully.
ท่านอาจารย์คะท่านอาจารย์ means that right understand what appears now. This is the only way to let go the I, the self.
We don't have to think of letting go at all. It's a function of Panya. The understanding let go at the moment when it arises. So very little in the beginning.
Even if it's wrong view that arises when panya arises at that moment of understanding. It is letting go without thinking at all about anything.
Let go of the idea of
just at that
wrong
moment,
view.
because of that is the function of panya. That's all.
Thank you.
So, nothing to do, no one to do. By conditions. Opposite realities, kusala and akusala.
Ajahn, you just mentioned something about panya. Panya knows cheerfully.
Yes.
Yes. There's a distinction, though, between panya knowing cheerfully and moments of attachment following panya.
Mm-hmm. Because
so there'd have to be a lot of panya. There'd have to be more panya to understand that.
Because when we talk about cheerfully, many degrees.
Yes.
Even just very little.
Mm-hmm. Is it cheerfully or calm?
Cheerful.
Cheerful.
Because it doesn't regret itself.
Okay.
Happy.
Okay. Cheerful,
Relief,
no regret.
relieved.
Yes. Okay.
Piti, joy.
Yes.
Piti
Yes.
With
Okay.
Kusala. Yeah. And it
Okay.
is calm at that moment because it's kusala.
Yeah.
Just like live to understand, or to Dhamma appear as it is Dhamma. Live to understand is quite safe words.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what comes, just live to understand. Or to panya appear. Or to realities appear, whatever, right now. Better than sit, not cheerful.
Oh, yeah.
Not at all. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I can understand relief. Yeah.
No more burden, see, little by little to see that usually life is burdened with ignorance and attachment.
It would help to see the burdens of ignorance and attachment,
yeah.
which we otherwise don't see.
Enjoy the burden.
That's right. That's right, especially when there's pleasant feeling.
Not realizing that it's quite a burden, very heavy in samsara. Like the buffalo working in the field to be yoked.
And when thinking about that, because sometimes those kinds of thoughts arise, it's more, the feeling burdened is an unpleasant feeling. So it's usually with dosa, it's the panya that knows burden,
But it
can be calm and cheerful.
Yeah, but it doesn't know that it's burden.
No?
It appears in the form of joy, happy,
Yes.
pleasant.
Yes. Yeah. If it appears in the form of with dosa, then that's another story. But
But
if,
the I is still there.
yes, and unless it's panya that realizes it, then it's dosa.
And when it is panya, even if it's just at the pariyati level, there is pleasant feeling, that's the point. It is joyful.
And when there is more and more understanding of the meaning of the words of the teaching, there can be reading with understanding better and better about no one, no self at all, or Adhamas. No matter talking about what Cetasikas, like Sati, Samadhi, and Kusala Sila, Akusala Sila, everything comes out as not self at all. That's why somewhere in the Tipitaka it says like one is under the roof of ignorance.
This morning, Anne, you were mixing up a couple of kinds of upekkha, so there are many different meanings of upekkha in context. Actually, not just three, but many, but the main ones are upekkha, referring to indifferent feeling when it's not happy feeling or unhappy feeling, then it's indifferent feeling. And there's upekkha, which is the Brahma Vihara, the equanimity. And there's Tattramajatata, Cetasika, which arises with every kusala chitta. And there's also other meanings like upekkha, which is panya, and also virya, sankhara upekkha, equanimity to formations, and the equanimity of the arahat, equanimity of jhana, many kinds of equanimity, but the main ones, I think the ones that you were mixing up were the indifferent feeling and the Brahma Vihara and Tattramajatata, which arises with all kusala.
Yes, I was mixing them.
Yeah.
I was forgetting.
Yeah.
I was only thinking of the Brahma Vihara.
And the Bojjhanga, the equanimity.
Well, the virya, take that for example, the virya upekkha would arise with kusala virya, would it?
It's referring to the four right efforts then.
Okay.
So virya upekkha, referring to the right efforts.
Okay.
But many different kinds. And then there's upekkha, or in the development of vipassana, many kinds. In the Atasalani, I think 10 kinds of upekkha.
They all have to do with an indifference or an equanimity, not.
When you say indifference, for example, Tattramajatata, equanimity, it's completely not the same as indifferent feeling.
Okay.
So equanimity means like at any moment of kusala, there is equanimity. There is, at that moment, there's no attachment. There is acceptance of whatever arises at that moment. So indifference sounds more like not caring or indifferent feeling, not pleasant or unpleasant, like the equanimity, which is a Brahma Vihara.
Yes.
This is that same Cetasika.
Yes, and it's not the unpleasant don't care. It's I mean indifferent don't care. Yeah.
Actually, the indifferent don't care is the enemy, is the near enemy, because
I would have thought so, because it's like dosa.
Like a little bit like reflecting on my mother's situation and how whatever happens is a result of karma. It's conditioned for equanimity, but if one just doesn't care, then that's the opposite of equanimity.
Yes, yeah. Right. If it's like, well, I can't do anything about it, that's what it is. That's the opposite of equanimity.
you want to bring up your question, one of your? Odipakya Dhammas or Bojjhangas or what was?
Yeah, so many aspects of Panya and so many different levels of Panya, and but the 37 Bodhipakya Dhamma covers all different aspects and different levels of understanding, from Pariyatti to Pativeda, I think. And from Satipatthana to Samapadana and
Bojjhangas and the Indriyas and the Balas. The point, I think the point was that Panya is in many different groups or aspects, so it's repeated many times, and so that was the comment about, like, for example, Panya as an Indriya, Panya as a Bala, Panya as a Bojjhanga, Panya as a Iddhipada, Panya repeated so many times, and is it showing different aspects and degrees and strengths? I think this is his.
We're now talking about the 37 Bodhipakya Dhamma, starting from what? Until
Satipatthana.
Satipatthana, see.
But before that, what about Pariyatti?
Without right understanding, intellectual understanding, how can there be the understanding, the characteristic of sati? Because as soon as one heard the word sati, it seems like one understood instantly, but actually it's not at all. Especially Satipatthana cannot arise without understanding of whatever appears as nama or rupa or self, not self. For example, if we talk about Satipatthana now, see, what is it?
You are already talking about developed Panya.
See, it's only the word. But the understanding is enough to condition understanding with such level of awareness of our reality. For example, does the hardness appear well? Now, see, no Satipatthana, it's gone, unknown. So at moment when it appears, from hearing, one begins to know the characteristic of it as not a microphone or anything at all. It's just hard, that's all. And only heart doesn't help one not to cling or take it for something, but the element, that which has a reason to be heard just very shortly. And then something comes in naturally, sound, thinking, and so on. So only when it appears well, so one begins to understand what's meant by well as a characteristic, as one has heard, as nothing but hardness. Otherwise one is holding microphone all the time. Even we don't say anything, but the idea of it is there. So it's wrong idea, wrong understanding of that which appears. So from hearing on and on, more and more, it conditioned right understanding at moment of hardness appear well. So the difference is that that moment Satipatthana has a reason. So the object can appear well as it is. Just one, see, what about others? Reality, so much to understand that the difference, very short, but it's there, to be known as it's different. It's like you haven't seen this before, and then you just see it quickly, then it's all. But you know that it's different. And you know that not by expectation, just like sound, no expectation to hearing, to hear. It has to be very natural.
Could you say a little more about the difference when you use the word well and clearly? So the hardness appears well, but not clearly, as in Vipassana Jnana.
Certainly, just well enough to be known.
Well enough to be known as hardness is just a
Right.
Rupa to Dhamma at that moment, that's
No
it. and
word, but the
just
characteristic
that
appear
hardness.
well, as it's been taught, that it's not a pen, not a table. So we can see that when it's not Satipatthana, impossible for anything to appear well because it's gone. As picture or people thing, image all the time. And this is the beginning of not just hearing, considering, but the characteristic of that which is not self begins to appear when it hears well.
And when either objects or experiencing objects begins to appear well, would it be a slow development before, like,
No expectation,
No
whether it can be
expectation,
ends or what.
right?
Because of ignorance that has
Yeah.
been accumulated so long compared to that short moment.
Yeah.
Just learn to understand. It's right understanding. And then later on, right understanding only leads to such and such awareness and understanding. No self. Until it's completely eradicated.
I've got a good example of a Nupyanjana at the moment, because just visible object that's seen. But there's a lot of attending to the Anupyanjana and then thinking about the smoke out there, and there's a lot of so where we're talking, it's like lots of just attending to the details and then thinking about the smoke and the whole thing, but actually just visible object that's
And
seen.
just everything in split second. See how fast. Gone completely, cheerfully.
And so unexpected, because no interest or no wish to see that visible object or attend to the details. But even when listening to the example of hardness or sound or what, there's attending to the details just naturally by.
And this is the way to learn to understand anatta. Just one word from the very beginning to the end. Everyone proved the anatterness, but not enough understanding. Like seeing, hearing, smelling, thinking, attending. Yeah.
At that moment, no one could make me attend, no one could stop the attending. It's just how it is at that moment.
So everything is just be ready to be known. Only ignorance is there or not.
Okay, so that's Panya of the 4 Satipatthanas. So, next.
I was thinking about. Sorry?
You have a follow-up question?
Follow-up question. I was thinking about something else, also relating to the same subject we were discussing. Like, also the anatomist of seeing visible object, also of hearing the sound of a voice, but also of the anatomist of speaking or talking or walking or doing anything, as well as seeing, hearing, and anything in life, really.
So what is the anatomist of visible object?
Not anyone, not being anyone or thing or
no one there.
No one there.
And what is the anatomist of speaking? You mentioned the
Oh,
anatomist of speaking. What's that?
Yes, not really me talking or my voice or my words, nothing like that. Just.
Is that the anatomist of speaking, though?
That's the theory, I think, the pariyatti of it.
Even pariyatti is not there at all.
That's just thinking that there's, like sitting now, right?
Yeah.
You could say, it's not me sitting. There's no me sitting, just thinking. Because sitting doesn't have a characteristic.
So what is the pariyatti of speaking? Otherwise, I think that no one is speaking.
Another example of walking or working, whichever it was, but the anatomist of walking or working or...
Yeah, that's past. That's right. Walking, standing, sitting.
What's the reality of walking or standing or sitting?
Yeah, the reality is rupa.
That's the word.
Of course, yes.
But the characteristic of walking or standing is what? See, it cannot be found. Just think that it's rupa. That's not.
Which rupa?
There is no characteristic of walking or standing.
Which rupa? Hardness? Maybe.
And it's the characteristic of hardness.
Right.
So not the characteristic of walking.
Okay.
Characteristic of hardness, it's not the characteristic of table, because there is no table, so the same thing, there is no...
This is rupa, I think.
No need to say, to know and to understand.
It has to be a characteristic of a reality. Yeah.
But it has to be found. What is? Not just a characteristic.
Right, of any reality. No, of
we are not walking now, we are not standing now. What about sitting now? What is that which is not self? Who is sitting? What is there? To be known as not self, never be self. But there must be realities unknown.
You just said that the reality which appears well, just enough well, to be known by Panya.
Without intellectual understanding, that level of Panya cannot arise at all. So we have to learn to understand before there can be that level of understanding. What is there? Otherwise we think just I'm sitting is not me, and so on. So what is sitting? What is there at the moment of sitting right now?
Okay, hardness, no?
It's not guessing.
Yeah, it is guessing, yes.
But you see that if hardness does not appear, can there be the understanding of it as not self, of no sitting?
No way.
So it's not trying to have a reality as object while one is sitting, but it's the understanding of what is there. Without rupas, can there be what we take for sitting?
No.
Just one kalapa cannot be sitting.
No.
When there are so many kalapas, there's the idea of sitting, and sitting must be I, because of many kalapas.
Yes.
In order to have no idea of I, there must be the understanding of that which is not sitting, but that which is hard or soft or whatever is there while one is sitting, standing, walking, lying, talking. Yeah, there must be that characteristic.
So it's not anatomist of sitting or walking, because there is no sitting or walking. Just different realities that are wrongly taken for sitting or walking.
Yeah, the moment I think myself sitting, it can only be also visible. In reality, may only be visible object, because I see maybe my feet or my knees, and I assume I'm sitting because I see my body.
So it's just wrong thinking at that moment. Just
of course, yes.
Yeah.
Always.
So it's not any. That's why when you mentioned about the anatomist of sitting and walking, that's why everyone was questioning it, because it's just the wrong understanding that there is sitting or walking. And
right.
Is there sitting rupa? Yeah.
So, I don't know if when you mentioned those things you had in mind any particular text or reference.
Not really, just general.
I know in the Satipatthana Sutta there's a reference to the monk who is, when walking, is mindful, I'm walking, that sort of thing. But the commentary explains that it doesn't mean the same as knowing that one is walking, because that's ordinary knowledge.
Yeah, I think we can still say walking, and meaning the reality. Like we have to use word for realities, right?
Yes.
So we can say walking, sitting.
We can say it, yes.
Without necessarily having wrong view about it.
No, correct.
But of course we usually
but
do it.
But if we think that that's the object of awareness, then that's a different matter.
Right, yes, yeah, I agree.
What about kana sanya? Kana sanya, see?
memory of a whole, like even when one thinks one sees one's feet, actually it's like a memory of something, body part there.
So, Nitya Sanya conceals the truth of Anicca Sanya and Atta Sanya, Anatta Sanya, Kana Sanya as well.
And that's why there's the idea of posture or sitting or walking as occurring, and why people have the idea there can be awareness of sitting or walking because of Gana Sanya. Gana Sanya.
I'd like to go back just a little bit. At some point, close to the end of the discussion about, just a few minutes back, Satipatthana and objects appearing well, there was a mention of, Sarah, I think you mentioned it, 4 Satipatthanas. Can you explain that, please?
So, Kayanupassana, Vedanupassana, Chittanupassana, Dhammanupassana.
Okay, thank you.
So the idea of posture or whatever is one of the parts under Kayanupassana.
And that's just what we were talking about here.
Yes, yes. Taking realities for being posture or body or self.
That's the 4 sections into which the
Suitors are divided. Okay, thank you.
And do we have to follow the section?
No.
Because we were talking about the 37 Bodhipakkhya Dharmas, so when it mentions 4 Satipatthanas, that's
because
what it's
people
referring to.
might mistake that we should begin with the first one.
No.
So they start. Yeah. That's the first word.
They get stuck on Anapanas, on their idea and never get any further.
That's why people sit concentrating on something they call breath. Sarah, you also talked about cheerfulness at a moment of panya at the pariyati level, which I could see. I think there seems to be, I don't know whether it's a misunderstanding or maybe a misunderstanding among some people that pariyati is just thinking about the Dhamma. But that's not correct.
It has to be panya. There can be thinking about the Dhamma without reading all the Pitaka, without any understanding. So it has to be panya. And when it's panya, it can arise with talking about the different feelings, pleasant feeling or neutral feeling, but usually with pleasant feeling. So when it's pleasant feeling, there is cheerfulness. So, but it has to be the understanding of reality. It has to be understanding of Dhamma now, not just reading the book or studying the text.
It's not in the book.
Or something
it's not
like
in
that.
The text. But just, while we're sitting here, there are a lot of moments of thinking about Dhamma, and maybe some moments of pariyati with panya. Yes.
Is that a question?
No,
or a
no. I'm not asking you whether there are. I'm asking whether there's a difference between thinking about the Dhamma as we're sitting here talking about the Dhamma.
Thinking with worry, that's not panya.
That's right. That's not
thinking
panya.
with agitation, trying to
work
out one's question, or trying to remember what one was trying to say. Many different dhammas that can be attending to the smoke and thinking about what the cause of it. There can be all kinds of dhammas. Yes,
there's a nice bird out there. Yeah.
It's completely wrong for when people think that just because one's having a dhamma discussion, even in a perfect environment, that there's just non-stop panya. And also people have the idea, because we talk here a lot about the importance of listening and listening to the Dhamma. Listening doesn't mean being here for 2 hours discussing the Dhamma. It's talking about moments of panya.
Panya, wise consideration.
Yes, whether one's looking at the book or having a walk, reflecting wisely on the Dhamma, listening to what the Buddha taught. Otherwise it's back to thinking of a situation again and forgetting about the reality that appears.
Right. I remember in Norelia, Ajahn, we were talking about this, and you asked me, do you speak Thai? Yes. When we were talking about pariyati understanding. And during that conversation, you asked me at one point, do you speak Thai? And I said, yes. And then you said, are you speaking Thai now? And the answer was no.
So what?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. So what? I didn't follow up on it. I guess I should have at the time. I should have asked at the time.
Yeah, because yeah, I think that each word should be carefully understood. Even the word pariyatti, what is it? So what is it, pariyatti?
Pariyatti is primarily a level of understanding. So we can talk about it as thinking, but it's not really thinking. It's a level of understanding that is not understanding of a presently arising Dhamma.
That is not understanding.
Well, that's Patipatti,
Yes,
right?
yes.
The understanding of presently arising Dhamma is Patipatti. So it's a level of understanding, but it still relates to the present moment reality.
Can we say that it's the understanding? It has to be the understanding, not just the word.
Yes,
Pariyatti.
for sure.
So pariyatti is the understanding of the truth of reality from hearing, reading, considering whatever is heard. Otherwise it cannot bring more understanding to the other high level. So pariyatti must be understanding. It's not just how many chittas are there.
Right, right.
And now it's that which experience, but the understanding of reality at that level of, it's not direct understanding yet.
Of the truth of reality, of the truth of what, understanding of the truth of what is being heard about realities.
So what about the person who knows how many chittas are there and then go to meditations and
No,
is that
no,
pariyatti?
not
at all.
Not at all.
So it has to be understanding, different levels. For example, anatta, it doesn't mean that just everything is anatta.
Right.
That's not pariyatti.
I can do what I want because it's anatta. That's not
Yeah.
pariyatti. Yeah.
It has to be understanding.
Everything's anatta, sitting, walking, standing,
Yes.
everything
Yes, that's
around.
not- no,
is
that's not.
No.
Okay.
Or sitting is not self, sitting position, that is not pariyatti.
No. Okay.
And what is Gaia?
Gaia.
Yes.
What is Gaia? Well, Gaia is.
Gaia Nupassana.
Right. Gaia Nupassana.
So what is Gaia?
Gaia, yes, Gaia is body. Thank you. I knew that.
I was a hint, not the answer.
Yes, no, it isn't the answer. Because what is body? It's a
Gaia
concept.
means body.
Yes, and it's
Right,
a concept
but the
because
question,
it
what
is.
is
It
Gaia?
is.
Really?
Yes.
The
It's
term
made
Pali.
up of it's
term
what we take a group of realities as being. Like hardness, softness, motion, pressure, heat, cold, realities that can be touched.
There are Namakaya and Rupakaya. So what is Gaia? You know the Pali word? Gaia.
No, sorry.
Rupakaya, Namakaya, and what is just Gaia?
No, I don't know.
Because you can't. We're talking about here about body, but we're talking. It can't be any rupas, any hardness touch. Like this hardness is not taken for body, or this soft heat. This hardness is not taken for body. So it has to be the rupas that are taken for being body. Like
Yes.
the hardness here is different from the hardness here, because this hardness is taken
Yes, it's taken for
for
body.
Can we say what are there together is Gaia?
Yes. No, only if it's rupas of
What
the body.
Whatever.
It doesn't work.
Whatever.
Because also there is, as Nama Gaia, so then
That's
it's
right.
what are taken together. So here it's talking about Rupa Gaia, but Ajahn's asking what Gaia in general, so what is taken together?
Well, what is taken together? Well, both the Nama
So for
and the
example, if
Rupa, and they need to have certain. I'm thinking of Jivit Indriya. I'm thinking of the Cetasika that, like. No, of course, there's no Jivit Indriya there.
So if it's Namakaya, what is taken together, the various Chetasikas are taken together.
Yes.
And if it's Rupakaya, the
Yes.
various Rupas are
Taken together.
taken together for body or...
Or can we say they come to be together?
Yes.
Like this. Gaia, 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 everything.
Not, I thought we were talking about any,
Even the body.
even the body, but it also includes
Whatever,
this.
whatever.
Okay.
Ajahn's talking about the broad meaning of Gaia, just
Okay.
Gaia, not just Gaia as in Gaia Nupassana. We've been talking about Gaia as in
Yes.
Gaia Nupassana, but
Now we're
she's talking
about the
first
broad
about
meaning.
the broad meaning of Gaia,
Yes.
regardless of Gaia Nupassana or
Yeah.
Nama Gaia or
So
Intl,
is it
whatever is
Taken
Taken
together
together.
as something. Or taken
They are
together
there
as
to
something
be.
would be with wrong view.
They just be there together.
Okay.
Not only one. They come to be there to be together, to be together. Like Citta and Cetasika,
Yes.
Namakaya.
Ah, okay. And Rupa Gaia, the Kalapas.
The Rupa, all there, come to be there together.
So more than just the Kalapas. A group that
Even
come together
Kalapa
to be together. Okay.
Comprises 8 Rupas.
Yes. Okay.
So everything is Gaia. Namakaya or Rupakaya. So the whole body is the Gaia. Many, many Kalapas. Each one is Gaia.
Gaia.
Each Kalapa.
Each Kalapa is Gaia. Yeah.
Or we can say each one because they come to be together.
Because they are together, they can't be separated. Yeah.
we talk about each one is Kanda because they
Right.
come together. So
And also Citta and Cetasika rising together are
Namakaya. But still Gaia. They are there together. So when we talk about Gaia, see, from head to toe, we know they are all there as different parts of the body. Each word brings about Anatomist, no one there. See, read with understanding. It will bring the direct understanding one day.
So when I said earlier that the term body is a concept, I think what I was referring to is that without when we think of the body, well, I suppose with understanding we are thinking of realities that come together, but I think we were
But
thinking
when
of as
there's
a
no
concept.
understanding, you take
No, when
the
there's
whole
no
body.
understanding, you take the whole body as a concept.
As
Right.
real.
As
Real.
well, you take it as real,
Yeah. The
but in
body
fact,
is
it's just a concept until there's understanding of it. Right?
what is understanding of body? It's like understanding of walking or talking. There is no body, there is no
That's right,
walking, there
that's
is no
right.
talking.
So it's concept.
It can only be a concept because there's no reality of
That's
body,
right.
just like there's no
That's right.
reality of walking
Yes,
or talking.
that's where I was going.
So there can't be understanding of body.
But there can be understanding of, not of body, but the rupa that come together.
That's why what is sitting position?
Right.
Just
Rupa.
rupa comes together.
Rupa comes together.
Like this come together, and this is stand, this is standing.
Yes.
Like sitting, lying, something like that.
Mm-hmm. They come together, right.
There is no one, only when there's the understanding of reality,
Right.
just one at a time. That's why what is the object of Satipatthana under the section of position? No position now.
The object would be, is the rupas.
What rupa?
Well,
Touch from head to toe, hardness, softness,
yes.
heat, cold, that's all.
Yes.
No matter in what position. If there's still the idea of position, there is something. But when there is only different realities, no one there to sit, to stand.
Right.
It dissolves all the idea of self at moment of understanding reality.
When it is understanding of hardness, softness, there's no idea of body, there's no idea of internal, external. Actually, whether it's this hardness or this hardness, it's just hardness. It's just
hardness.
Just softness.
Yes.
But because of ignorance, there's the idea of this one and that one,
real.
and
Yes.
And before that, there's idea that I'm sitting with strong. So
Yes.
right understanding knows that no I is who is sitting,
No sitting.
though only reality.
Right.
In order to have less and less attachment
Mhm.
to the body as self, as my body. Is that your body? Not at all. Only Gaia of rupas. Much different from meditation to understand. Right now, little by little.
I have a sidetrack question about a Rupa Brahma realm where there are no sense objects, no rupas conditioned by chitta, so there's no breath, is that correct?
No rupa conditioned by chitta.
No rupas conditioned by chitta in the Rupa Brahma realm.
Rupa Brahma or
Arupa Brahma realm. No rupas conditioned by...
all rupas.
No rupas. So that means there's no breath because it's rupa conditioned by chitta. But at the moment of birth, there is a...
4 namakhandas only.
4 namakhandas only. So no jivitindriya rupa even.
Never,
or no,
even
nothing.
one.
And... right, no rupas conditioned by, well, rupas outside conditioned by temperature, but no experience of anything, nothing, no. And so when there is no breath at all in that plane, then
no rupa.
No rupa, so just not necessary any breath at all.
Chitta, citasikas only.
Yeah, okay. And sorry. No meditation. No, exactly. Holiday from meditation centers, right? Yeah. And the other just sidetrack question is, which because it came up in Vietnam, in Rupavachara realm, not Arupa Vachara, can there be dreaming?
What is dreaming?
Thinking about sense objects.
Who does not dream?
The Arahat doesn't dream, so they can still be thinking about the sense objects
because
experience.
when Panya is there, dreaming is just like thinking in between sense stuff.
That's what I thought, because actually it was the monk who mentioned in the Rupavachara that there was no dreaming, so I just kind of wondered if that's
thinking.
Just there should be still thinking about sense
thinking.
But still there is thinking and
there
dreaming must be about, because still sense objects experienced.
Is there sleeping in that realm?
Must be, yeah.
For example, when sati is there, realities are just follow one another. That's all.
And in the Arupa Brahma then, so there are no rupas, so there cannot be dreaming about sense objects experienced in that life, maybe in other lives, but there can still be thinking, just like ordinary thinking now, but not about sense objects experienced.
This may seem like a strange question. If there are no sense objects experienced in that plane, what are you thinking about? Because it's the sense objects that give rise to the thinking. And we've talked about it. If there's no visible object, if there's no experiencing of a sense object,
What is that thinking?
Yes.
Do you ever thinking of pleasant moment? Not Rupa?
Yes.
Not Rupa?
It's not Rupa, that's right.
Thinking about thinking.
Thinking about thinking, but where is the thinking about pleasant moments going to come from if there is not any experiencing of sense objects?
Well, that's the point, because even when the attachment to sense objects has been eradicated, in this case it's not eradicated,
right.
But even when there's no attachment to sense objects, there's still other attachments, attachment to being, to existing.
Yes, yes. Although, is that not from being existing?
You mean about the joy of jhana?
Okay.
Even there's nothing appearing as Rupa. What about the experiences, the existence, the citta, that which knows arises?
The citta
that which knows
what
arises.
Citta is that which knows.
Yes. So it's the mind door. It's
we don't have to name
or
or what.
Okay.
But nothing appears as sight and sound at all.
Okay.
But nothing. But there is that which experiences.
Okay.
So it can
I
think,
understand
condition
that now.
thinking.
Yes. I was thinking of, the arupa plane is without rupa, and of course the rupa are the objects of the vipaka citas with. Well, no, they're even the object
Can
of
they
the
be
citta
doubt?
that follows thinking. Yes.
Can they be doubt in the plane?
Can there be
Doubt.
I would think so.
So it
Okay.
doubt about that moment.
Doubt about why am I here, or
What is there?
What is there?
Nothing
Yeah.
there. What there is that which experiences.
Yes, there's nothing there, but there is something experiencing nothing.
clinging to the dream about nimittas?
The dream about nimittas.
Nimitta of kasina
from
or
past
of
accumulations.
No, I'm talking about the object of the jhana citas.
Okay. Is the arupa plane only
What
Where
about
jhana arises? Is it only jhana that arises? No.
what about what about even common daily life? Can there be doubt when nothing is there?
Yes.
What's that? What's that? What's that? What's that? Yeah, yeah.
There's doubt.
Even otherwise doubt cannot appear as a reality if it doesn't show up.
Right.
And wrong view too.
Yes,
Still
that can
be
arise.
wrong view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Taking
so.
it for being enlightenment.
Yeah.
I think the answer to your question a minute ago was it's a result of jhana,
Okay, thank you. The arupa
rebirth in that.
rebirth in the arupa Brahma plane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Close your eyes, no visible object, no sound. Can there be doubt? Because doubt is
Yeah.
nama.
Yes.
See?
Yes.
So there are conditions for
Doesn't help doubt.
whatever to appear. It depends on understanding or ignorance of it.
Okay.
What is there? See, close your eyes. No rupa appearing, but what is there?
Thinking.
No, I mean that it can be moment of thinking. What is there in arupa Brahma? Like just close one's eyes. No rupa appears.
What is there at a moment of thinking?
Even in the human world, when rupa does not appear, like in arupa Brahma world, there can be conditions for whatever arises, thinking, what is that? See?
Doubt, thinking.
It's not rupa, see?
No, okay.
Yeah, so it's nama.
It's nama. Nama experiencing nama. Yeah.
And the feeling is there too.
And actually, this morning when we were talking about we started talking about the 19 kinds of patisandhi-citas. We talked about the akusala vipaka without roots and the kusala vipaka without roots, and then the 8 kusala vipaka with roots of different kinds, and then there are 5 rupa vachara and 4 arupa vachara vipaka citas, which are births. So that's what we're talking about.
Which are which are
The patisandhi citas. So they're also the ones that are the result of jhana, and the ones which are the result of arupa jhana. So this is what we're talking about.
This is the ones we didn't talk about.
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah.
Right.
Because there were 19, but there are also the ones which are the result of jhana, and the ones which are the result of arupa jhana. So that's why there is these kinds of realms.
Right, and following. Okay, I think I see that. I've actually never taken a lot of interest in jhana, the kinds of jhana we're talking about here. But I can see where it's useful to know, to try to understand.
Anyway, it's just like now we're just discussing, because we assume that there are always rupas, and there must be rupas, and there must be rupas taken for a body, and if there are, and that's how there is this wrong view. But actually, even in the arupa Brahma realms, there are no rupas taken for something, but still wrong view hasn't been eradicated, and there's still dreaming with doubt and thinking with wrong view arising, and still ideas of a whole.
Yeah, rebirth after existing in one of the planes without, the arupa plane, for instance. It can be on any plane, can it?
It can't be any afterwards, because there are all sorts of conditions and laws determining
Okay, yeah.
different conditions determining which kind of existence can follow which
Okay.
one. Like afterlife in a Rupa Brahma realm, there can't be in the next life in a woeful realm. I forget all the details.
Okay.
But
There are various
but
conditions.
sooner or later there will be life again in human realm or woeful realm if the defilements haven't been eradicated.
Right. And the Gamma. Yeah. And there's
All
Gamma for
depending
it,
on
yes, all
past
depending
karma.
on past Gamma. Okay. Thank you.
So now coming back to Kayanupassana, Satipatthana.
No way out.
The first step of however many bodhipakkhit.
Can I ask you a question? Moments of swimming or running, can Satipatthana arise?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Because moment of swimming or running or sitting or walking, what reality appears can be the object of Satipatthana.
Yes, of course, yes.
So actually, what's Kayanupassana Satipatthana?
And,
It is the sati,
understanding.
Kayanupassana Satipatthana. So there must be sati. So it's the sati which is aware of that which is taken for body for a long, long time, to know that actually, as long as there is body, it's my body. But when there is no body, only different realities of Rupa, there will be more understanding of not self. Even the body is just that which come together. And we used to take it for body for a long, long time, but actually there's no actual body or my body at all. So the sitting position is wrong, because actually there's no sitting Rupa. But when they come together, it conditions the Gana Sanya.
Gana.
Yes,
Gana.
that should be destroyed. Otherwise, they are together like something all the time. But when it's only one arising and falling away, no permanent body.
Yes, there is no one sitting, and there is not even a chair. There is not.
No, not at
Nothing.
all.
Nothing.
It appears
permanent.
well, as it is, little by little.
Okay.
So it has to be Satipatthana, that reality appears well enough to be known as a reality.
Even now, no Alberto, no one here. Yeah, only reality. Yeah. Yes.
ประตูเปิดใช่ไหมฮะมันเปิดแอร์ไม่ใช่เหรอ เปิดแอร์แล้วเปิดประตูนะคะโอเค I don't know whether we should close or open.
I'm just too sensitive to
Oh, I see.
So we have the air in that
Oh,
section.
I see.
of the
Okay.
fresh air.
Okay, fresh air here. The next section.
Seems to work okay.
Yeah.
Is that air on?
Yes.
Even Kayanupassana, what shouldn't miss the word Satipatthana on Gaia, the body, to know it as it is, as not self. The point is understand that which usually is taken for body, but actually only different realities, rupas, no matter breath or what. So how can the understanding of breath can eliminate the idea of self?
Impossible. It's not possible. Because there is no breath as we think there is. As we take it to be breath, but there's nothing actually like breath.
If breath is just like ordinary rupa, see, no meaning, no importance at all. If one takes it for important, then it's clinging instantly.
A minute ago you used the term, was it Gana Sanya? But the enlightened being still has the concept of person sitting and so forth. Doesn't have to rethink everything, because so there must still be some kind of course there's no taking of things wrongly, but the enlightened being, I presume, still sitting here, still sees and recognises different individuals and their postures.
By conditions.
By conditions,
yeah. Nimitta.
So do we call that Gana Sanya also? Or
Kana Sanya is the memory Sanya, that everything is one.
Right.
What comes together is one, which is wrong.
Wrong.
Like there's one.
Right, right. So it's a wrong memory. But still, for the enlightened being, there's immediately the concept of a box.
No doubt about all realities, even thinking.
Right. But not taking them for anything.
No wrong understanding.
No wrong understanding.
But the understanding of concept is there.
Yes.
Like Ananda, Sariputta, Moggallana.
So what conditions the concept of a person, or not a person, but of a box and that sort of thing on the part of the enlightened being?
Okay, before there is any understanding of reality, there are so many things and people. But at moment of understanding, one by one, that what is seen is only that which is there with the four primary rupas, but the four primary rupas cannot impinge on the eye. Only that which arises with it, one of the four, can impinge on it. It arises and falls away. So where's people and things? But the succession of the arising and falling away condition the idea of different things and people. That's all. But the truth is the absolute truth. Nothing permanent, just arises by conditions. The box is the box, but what is there? Different realities.
Presumably, that's an assumption, though, isn't it? Different realities there.
That's
because
why
all is seen as one is visible object.
That's why when we talk about Satipatthana, everything in life is Satipatthana. Otherwise, wrong understanding takes that for something permanent. No matter here or there, this or that. Right understanding is right understanding, which begins to know, little by little, that before there can be the moment of realizing that which is seen as that which arises and falls. As it is, there must be the understanding from now on to begin to understand it. Actually, without that which is at or with the four primary rupas, how can whatever appears as things, colors? So it's just the continuity of the arising and falling away, like the magic world, fantasy world, magician, citta. Out of rupa comes people and things. Without rupa, can there be people and things? So only rupa is real. And if there is no condition to reflect on it, once it's heard, it's there. No cultivation, no development. That's why it needs the hearing of the words of the Buddha to be upanisaya kochara rather than other objects. This is the beginning to condition more and more understanding. And this is pariyatti. Even right now, it can develop by itself, little by little, until it becomes Satipatthana, see? Without the intellectual understanding, how can that be the understanding of hardness as just a moment? Otherwise, it does not go away. It's there all the time. And the right purpose of studying is the beginning of developing understanding.
So can we say that as understanding of realities, present moment realities, is developed, one's perception of the world changes? As understanding develops, understanding of present moment realities develops, one's perception of the world, which at the moment we think table is real, person is real, etc.
By conditions.
That changes by conditions, but it's the understanding of realities that changes that perception.
Right.
And it just happens naturally.
That's why
So,
by conditions
right.
we learn to understand all dhammas are conditioned to arise.
So when we say no Alberto, for example, it may be a long time before that understanding actually arises.
And this understanding will condition no thinking about when and where and how.
So could we say we shouldn't try to get ahead of
We shouldn't.
understanding?
No, shouldn't is not the right word.
No, but the idea of
It's
trying
led
to
by-
think what
Yeah.
the world is like with understanding doesn't work.
Usually
because
it's led by
it's just
I.
understanding. Yeah,
Until one knows that that
Right.
moment is led by understanding.
yeah.
It works its way. to lead, to understand better and better. Panya can understand.
Yes. According to its level.
Until enlightenment. Otherwise there wouldn't be Samma Sambuddho as being Bodhisattva for how long? And the person who just meditates, is it Bodhisattva?
In some lives when wrong view was arising, there may have been some wrong practice. That's all one can say. Longer. Like a Jotapala or something, some following some wrong practice.
And when one understands that life is different in a moment, see how many moments are there?
And actually no bodhisattva in any life, just different citas, cetasikas or rupas arising by conditions like now, no matter whether we call it Alberto or Suchin or anyone, just different realities arising unexpectedly.
And what's the meaning of bodhisattva? Bodhisattva.
A being who is striving for enlightenment.
Not far away from developing understanding from life to life. Not getting away from and developing understanding. Not doing anything. Any question about Kayanupassana, Satipatthana? It has to be sati, but not only sati, it has to be panya. And panya with different level of sati, when the object appears well because of sati. If it's not known, it's not told, there can be the intention just right to have it appear well. But what's the meaning of the object appears well is only to sati at level of Satipatthana, because hardness now is not well. But when right understanding is there, it appears well as a reality.
Needs sati and panya to appear well. If there
we
is
used to take this for something, it does not appear as not self. But when it appears well, the characteristic of that which cannot be taken for self is there.
When we're talking about Vipassana jnana appears clearly, well this is the meaning of Vipassana, appears well at level of Satipatthana. Is there a Pali word that you translate as well?
Vipassana.
Vipassana. But Vipassana means clearly.
Yes.
So
you mean well?
So clearly, like in Vipassana jnana, is Vipassana means clearly. So that's
what
why
about
it's Vipassana
Pativeda and
Three.
Pativeda,
Pativeda, so that's Vipassana Jnana already.
and Katayana or Vipassana Jnana.
Yeah, but when it's Satipatthana, not Vipassana Jnana, the word for well that you're using appears well. What is the
Pali term?
Pali term?
I not know about the Pali term, but I know the translation.
Just the translation.
And I know that it means only
appears
when
well.
Satipatthana is there.
Yeah, I just wondered what the Pali term is.
You can check. Yeah.
I'm just trying to get it.
Just a moment ago, Ajahn, you emphasized the object of appearing well to sati at the level of Satipatthana.
No, the object now does not appear well, right? Because sati does not arise. So it just experience ordinary.
I'm talking.
Just hardness, softness, and everything pass on.
Yes, I understand that.
But when the object appears well, Panya knows that sati is there.
Okay.
Otherwise, we ask for sati. When is sati? And what is sati? But when the object appears well, it's moment of sati. Is aware.
And Panya knows it's a moment.
There must be Panya with sati all the time, not only sati. When it's Satipatthana, it cannot
So
just...
everything we're reading about in the Satipatthana Sutta is about development of sati and panya.
Right, right.
But Panya cannot arise from intellectual understanding to higher level without sati.
Right.
So sati is there playing the main role.
Playing the main role.
For Panya to understand.
Okay.
That's why in Tipitaka it says that it's not Passapattana, not Vedanapattana, not Sanyapattana, not Cetanapattana, only Satipatthana.
I've noticed over the years, Ajahn, that you have placed in discussions less emphasis on the development of sati than on understanding. Because it's the understanding that's what can lead to knowing, what's what can lead to understanding of the object that appears.
Because you see that each word of the Buddha brings about understanding with different levels of other reality like sati. Even right now, at moment of understanding, intellectually now, sati is there, unknown all the time, until it has reached the degree of Satipatthana, it can be known that sati is there, otherwise the object cannot appear well.
But without the panya,
There must
definitely
be panya
can't.
from
Yeah,
the very
it definitely
beginning.
can't appear well.
Yeah.
Right.
When we talk about the teachings of the Buddha, even we don't mention panya. Panya is there, each word.
Right.
It's useless to talk about sati when there's no understanding.
Yes.
So the
yes, I
understanding,
agree.
whatever, is panya.
So if we were to talk about sati, for example, it would be the sati that arises with understanding.
Yes.
And the aim is the development of understanding, ultimately. But sometimes the Buddha spoke in terms of sati, sometimes in terms of virya, sometimes in terms of samadhi, but always in terms of those factors as accompanying panya.
Panya.
Yeah.
Panya the chief. Yeah.
Right.
So what about Satipatthana on breath? Satipatthana on breath.
By conditions, by accumulations, by
No selection at all. And right understanding begins to see breath as just ordinary rupa, in order not to be attached to it. Instead of trying to have breath as object, see, it's just coming.
And you said breath as ordinary rupa. Well, it is what we take for breath, our ordinary
Just
rupas,
ordinary rupa.
hardness and softness, etc.
Only hardness, softness.
Because sometimes you've spoken about a special rupa conditioned by citta as being breath, but what we take for breath normally is our ordinary rupas.
It's hard, like Pathvi, Pathvi, Apo, Tesho, Vayu. What's the difference?
Between
Anapana and the other hardness, softness.
yeah, no difference.
It does not appear as usual in daily life. So it's the object for Mahapurisa. But people who are not try to have it as object. But for the Mahapurisa, just for detachment, not for being attached to breath. See, the purpose is different. Everything just for detachment only. The very long, long path leading to the detachment. So, as breath is the object of Satipatthana, then what?
Just like any other reality, like any other hardness or motion is the object and then it's gone. No significance at all, just a moment of understanding, a moment of awareness, and then it's gone. Who knows?
Depending on right understanding of it, whatever would follow, no one can know. As long as the idea of self hasn't been eradicated yet, there can be akusala attachment to the object as it is the object. Very, very fine object. But all objects shouldn't be object of attachment.
Shouldn't.
Because it's lopa which is attached.
Yeah.
So it's such like reminder whether there is attachment, there is the idea of self.
It's the very fine rupa, the very fine hardness or motion conditioned by citta that's unknown. And we know that the meditator who experiences hardness or motion by the nostrils, that this is actually not the very fine rupa. Is there any connection between them?
I think that usually there is clinging to everything, even breath, without understanding as ordinary. It's just a reality.
People always think of it as something special, but actually it's just like any other reality that arises and falls away instantly. asked is like Alberto, just like any other ex-meditator, when he mentioned that, there's still the experiencing of the breath by the nostril because it's like the past habit. So actually it's just hardness or softness that is experienced. Who knows what hardness or softness, and anyway it's not of any importance, but this is what is usually called breath. So I just wondered if it has any connection with the reality of breath.
Why breath appear? If there's no thinking about it, does it appear now? So that is attachment. There is attachment to bring about that particular object as habits.
Yeah, it's a habit that arises because of attachment. One can't just say, well, it's a habit that's been accumulated over time. There's more to it than that.
And also because one knows that no one can make anything arise, no one can just have that experience at will. So then it is the attachment and the wrong practice that is a condition for that rupa, or that idea of that rupa to appear at that time.
When attachment is strong, panya has to be much stronger in order to detach from that object.
I remember you saying once that if there's strong attachment for any sense object, there cannot be understanding of it, or it's very hard. For example, if there's very strong attachment to sound or taste, one is blinded, so it's much harder for there to be understanding.
Panya must be stronger enough to know it. It's useless to have breath as object without understanding and detachment. It can be object of attachment, so great. Not seeing the Anatomist in order to become detached. So what about breath? Is there by conditions to be object? Understand it, that's all. Forget it as other objects.
Just like any other rupas of no significance at all.
It indicates stronger understanding enough not to be attached to that object. So that moment is led by panya to see that it's just useless to cling to breath. When panya leads, it's much different from when the self or attachment leads.
And actually in that instance, it doesn't matter whether it has no significance, whether it really is the reality of breath appearing or whether it's an idea. The point is its attachment is there, so regardless of whether it really is the rupa conditioned by citta, the fine one, or whether it's just some other rupa conditioned by temperature, or whether it's an idea, it really doesn't matter because it's the clinging is there, and that's all.
And when it's high developed, it's kantiyana. Before the arising and falling away of reality now can appear as natural, as now. Everything has to be very natural. Otherwise it's not panya. It's fake.
One point I'd just like to clarify, because it came up last time and it was like quite a controversial topic, and then it came up again recently, and this is with regard to khandhas, but with regard to the four nama khandhas: Vedana khandha, Sanya khandha, Sankhara khandha, and Vijnana khandha. And we had always said and understood that any kusala or akusala, citta or cetasikas accumulate when they arise. And the reason that Vedana and Sanya,
when it's kusala
or akusala, and the reason Vedana and Sanya has a special khandha, like we discussed in Vietnam, is because of the great importance associated with feelings and always looking for pleasant feeling, and because of marking whatever is experienced, that's how there comes to be thinking and whatever else. So Vedana and Sanya are very, very significant. But when we were here last time in Nakornnayok, someone said, oh, actually, the reason Vedana and Sanya were separate khandhas are because only the Sankhara khandha cetasikas accumulate at moments of kusala and akusala, and that Vedana just feels, Sanya just marks, citta just experiences. And for example, when panya arises, it accumulates and it conditions Sanya at a later time to mark the object. Or when Avijja or any other of the Sankhara Khandha Dhammas arise, they accumulate and condition the Vedana and Sanya to feel and mark. And that it was said that Vedana and Sanya, even when kusala and akusala don't accumulate but are conditioned by the other accompanying cetasikas to arise and perform their functions. But when I clarified this recently, it was agreed, like we always thought, of course, when they're kusala or akusala, they accumulate. So I just wonder why this was said or discussed last time. You remember the point? I think it was Sukhin who made the point that Vedana and Sanya don't accumulate, and this was something kind of quite surprising to us and Nina. And then
not by itself, because it's not Sankhara Khandha.
Yes, but
to condition other moments to be. Because you see that we have to consider many aspects.
Yes.
Can Vedana be Pakatupanisya Pajya?
Well, I would have said it could, that it
that's
could
all.
be.
That's all. By its way.
Yes.
By its way, not by the way of Sankhara Khandha.
Right, and Sanya also has to, and without
whatever arises.
Sanya, marking these Anupyanjana, there wouldn't be the Sanya. Now marking it in this way, so it accumulates, and of course it has to be assisted by the other accompanying cetasikas arising together by all those sampayutta and other conditions. But that's also the same for other cetasikas.
Yeah, when we think about Pakatupanisya, it's the answer for everything.
Everything, like even panya or avijja or chetana, even chetana. When it accumulates, it has to be assisted by the other cetasikas, by Pakatupanisya and by Sahagata and by all these other factors. So actually they all need each other to arise
as pajjaya,
by
different pajjaya.
And but what is the distinction between the Sankhara Khandha Pajjaya and the Vedana and Sanya Pajjaya in that regard?
Because Veda feels, its function is to feel. And Sanya is just marking.
But they still are arising by...
Other Cetasikas
have their functions.
Yeah, different.
But they all they're still arising by... all arising by Pakatupanisya, by Sahagata, by so on, all the same conditions.
Pakatupanisya is the answer.
Yes, so it's the same. Yeah, thank you. Because it was just a little bit of confusion. So, and also Chitta as well, when it's even though it's not Sankara Kanda, when it's Kusala, it also accumulates, and it's also conditioned by the other Chaitasikas and also by Pakatupanisya.
Condition just like to feel, that's all.
Yes.
While the other can have more function to think and to arrange or to what? Chetana.
Depending on each their function,
right.
But you could say that Chaitana just arranges and coordinates it, or
so it's
Vitaka just touches.
Yeah.
Vitaka just touches, but why in that sense is Vitaka Sankara Kanda rather than not Sanya?
What about the cook?
Yes.
5 cooks, 100 cooks, and the one who tastes it, feel it. That's all.
That's all.
No,
yeah.
It's not.
But you could say, and if you're talking about the function of Vitaka, it's just all the ones. It's just the one that touches the object, also, or Pasa is just the one that contacts the object. So it's the same for each one. And yes, and the Chitta, so Kusala and Akusala, it also accumulates, and it also needs the support, and it also arises by Pakadu-Upanisya Pachya, and it also just has its function
by
chief experience. Yeah. Thank you. I think it's clear there was just some misunderstanding before, so it's good.
As much as there can be the understanding of no self.
Say Paktu-Upanisya is the answer, then it's very... Okay, back to Kayanupasana. Just giving you a little break.
So, is the body
it's not a reality.
Only realities.
It's realities, composed of realities, but body itself is not a reality.
Is the arm or leg? See? Eye, ear. Not belong to anyone at all. So it's not my body.
Can there be just the nimitta of it without the anubhyanjana? The body like the air or the or even the heart. When sitting, just it is the nimitta of hardness anyway. So it's not the body, but it is just hardness, but it's still it's closer to the reality rising and falling away, even if it doesn't looks like it's rising and falling away. But can it still be just the nimitta of hardness instead of the body? at the beginning.
What is there now?
The body.
No, if you don't think of it, no body at all.
Hardness.
Even you don't think of it,
Okay.
there's nothing. Only when something is there and no understanding, the idea comes in as the whole body sitting. But what and which is the body? The eye is the eye, the ear is the ear. That's why just close one's eyes, no idea about the sitting position, if there's no thinking about it. If there's no thinking, there is no sitting position. So it's only sanya, atta sanya of the body. Like all five khandas, Upadana, khanda, all five, not just one.
To add, because earlier you had said, we know we're sitting because we can see our feet and so forth, but even with eyes closed, there can be the idea of sitting without actual any, so just through the body sense or just from memory.
It's a good example of reading Suitors and reading them in Pali and there being no pariyati, because usually what the meditator does, it reads the Satipatthana and it reads about the body and not understanding anything about the Gana, sanya, and they think that the staying in a posture and experiencing pain is understanding dukkha or something like that, whereas in fact it's the complete opposite. It's the not understanding that there are just different rupas, each one is dukkha, but because there is the idea of whole or body or posture, this is how the truth of dukkha is covered up. So what they think they see is actually the opposite of what the sutta is talking about. So it's a good example of how one can read all these terms and words without any pariyati at all.
Okay.
Tomorrow we're having the discussion that